There we go. All right, that should be better. Welcome. Sorry I'm late. I had dinner with family. Uh, Trying to get back at by 9, and it is now 9:25. So obviously that didn't work out. But yeah. Welcome to Media's live show, episode 26. We're talking about Hazbin Hotel this week. There's one other thing I watched this week. Obviously, My Hero Academia, great episode. One of the best episodes of the series. The battle between Shigaraki and Deku is done, uh, and gave a lot of other stuff to talk about. Might save that for next week or a week after that. When My Hero Academia is finished, we'll do a whole nother stream where we talk about nothing but My Hero Academia's final season and the show as a whole. So I could always save that for later. Um, the main thing I want to talk about, and it's something I've been promising to talk about for a while, is Hazbin Hotel. Hazbin Hotel season 2 wrapped up last this past week, and I got a lot of thoughts. Enough to at least go an hour. So Hazbin Hotel, I have complicated feelings on it because it's one of those shows where when I'm in it, when I'm watching it, when I'm in the moment, I really enjoy it. I really like it. I like the songs. I like the voice acting. There's a laundry that fell out of my basket on the floor in the background there. But the more I think about it, the more the holes start to form. And I get that the show itself is pretty cringe at times. It's very like Reddit atheism. Uh, Though I think it handles it a lot better than something like Castlevania or Devil May Cry, which are very anti religious. Like at the end of the day, Hazbin Hotel is very much still positive on the idea of redemption and the idea of like heaven being the better alternative. Uh, But that's where like the premise is always going to inherently step on people's toes because when you're dealing with a concept that is a major part of a very real religion with billions of people following it, you're going to inevitably step on some toes. And the first pitfall that Hazbin Hotel has to deal with that it really struggles with is our hero Satan. Casting Satan slash Lucifer as like one of the good guys is always going to be a choice. It's always going to be a risky creative endeavor. It was weird when Paradise Lost did it hundreds of years ago, and it's even weirder now with the way that everything is set up in Hazbin Hotel. Uh, because no matter how good the characters are, no matter how benevolent they seem, you have to keep everything with a grain of salt because they are all in hell. Uh, and I have more thoughts on that later on in the outline about some of the problems that crop up from that. But a lot of the issues with Hazbin Hotel all stem from the fact that all the characters are in hell for a reason, and we shouldn't take anything that they say too seriously. As far as like their words of wisdom, because at the end of the day, they're all unreliable narrators, even within their own lives. They all have a scheme. They all have an angle that they're playing. Even someone as good as Charlie, I have a point to make with Charlie later on. Now, as far as the lore goes, I think the overall, like structurally, the biggest problem with Hazbin Hotel is the lore, the world building. It makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense why these ethereal, eternal realms, heaven and hell, have a population problem. Like, why is this even a thing? It doesn't make any sense. Just like it doesn't really make any sense about like where do these purged souls go when they die? Like they're already dead. They live life on Earth. They die. They go to either heaven or hell. What happens to them then? Like, where's Adam's soul? Where's the soul of all the overlords that Alistair offed? Like, none of that stuff is answered. I don't even know if any of that stuff is going to have an answer. I know that Hazbin Hotel takes place entirely on like the Pride Ring. There's apparently like six other rings for all the other sins. But like again, so all the sinners and all the world and all of history are crammed into just one piece of hell. Why? Like not everyone's sin is pride. Like it doesn't make any sense. And uh, I'm kind of skipping forward here, but I'm just kind of going with the flow. I had to talk about the show scale. The show scale is just absurdly small. Like, there's this big moment in season two where Vox is like, "You want to know how many people died in the extermination? Thousands, thousands, thousands. Like the population of a small town is how many people died in 7 years worth of exterminations, or is that like each? Like in season one, they talk about like, oh, we lost 12% of Hell's population, and if even if it was 900,000, we're talking like 9 million people, tops. 9 million. What? We'll even up it to like 90 million. There's 90 million people on the east coast of the United States right now. Like that's nothing. In the words of like uh um, King Yama in Dragon Ball Z Bridge. Like, I can judge that many souls in the time it takes you to take a piss, old man. It's just a small world. Like, it's absurd that hell is, like, the size of a small city. It's absurd that heaven has an even smaller population. Like, they harp on that over and over again that, like, oh, there's more of us than them. That's why they're afraid of us. And also just the inherent absurdity of hell trying to have an uprising on heaven. Like that's just not how it's going to work. Not even within the show's lore, because as we saw throughout season one and not so much in season two, but definitely in season one, the angels just have the sinners outclassed. Man, like the strongest sinner, Alistair, got his ass handed to him by Adam, who isn't even like top five angels. Like he's just a normal archangel. But there's that's problems as well. Now I don't know shit about the lore, the deeper lore, because I haven't watched Hell of a Boss. I watched like the first couple episodes and it didn't hook me, and I just didn't give a shit about its premise. Like I don't like the characters. I don't like its sense of humor. Like yes, it's very much the same sense of humor as Hazbin Hotel, but I think Hell of a Boss pushes it too far to the point where it's just annoying. Whereas Hazbin Hotel, like there's the whole like written by Vivzy Pop meme where it's all f bombs and stuff. Like there's a lot of that in Hazbin Hotel, but it is a drop in the bucket compared to how dumb Hell of a Boss gets with its amount of cursing and vulgarity. Like I'm not a prude. I'm not like inherently against any of that stuff, but there comes a point where it's like there's not words in any language that could excuse the amount of bleeps that they're putting in. Like, there's no words that would actually fit there. You're just putting bleeps for the sake of, like, shock value. And it's not working. It never, Hell of a Boss just never really worked for me. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, Hell of a Boss is the better show. Like, Hell of a Boss is more character focused. Like, I've had people say to me that I would prefer Hell of a Boss, and I got hooked on Hazbin Hotel through the pilot. I can't say the same for Hell of a Boss. Nothing I've seen from Hell of a Boss has made me want to watch that show. Speaking of the pilot, though, I missed the pilot. I especially miss Alistair's radio effects. Apparently, people complain about that, and so they toned it down. Those people are weak. I loved Alistair's the laugh track that he would have, and the cheering and the different radio sound effects, like the da 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 da. and the Alistair still has like a smidge of a radio voice and a radio effect with his voice for the most part. And when he doesn't, it makes sense. It's for like lore reasons why like uh, the effect disappears when his staff is broken and stuff. Um, but it added so much like identity to Alistair and to the show's pilot. Uh, and I miss Angel's original voice actor. Like again, like for the most part, it's an upgrade from the pilot to the actual series. It's especially an upgrade with Keith David taking over as Husk. I cannot imagine the Husk's pilot actor singing "Loser Baby" or "Love in a Bottle." Keith David slays on those songs. Um, the songs are probably the strongest part of the show. Like I've been listening to the Hazbin Hotel season 2 soundtrack, uh, pretty much nonstop for a while. Uh, and yeah, there's so many great songs. Vox Die I've talked about on the live show before. The cower and hide, find a rope you can swing from. Uh, Lucifer's part in Vox Populi goes hard. Scheme all you want, Mr. TV head man. I'm merely a god. Who are you? Just a dead man. Uh, I really like Sir Pinchas. His singing voice threw me for a loop because I don't recall him having any real songs, or at least like he might have had like part of "It Starts with Sorry," but I only remember Charlie's parts from that song. Really, but "Piss" a love song, and then "Live to Live" um, are really good. I especially like "Live to Live." The um, do the do any sin to any man just for the chance to live to see a ray of sunshine through the haze of the morning ether. Like that, such a great line. Just a lot of great songs. The Gravity is obviously a major standout. I think people kind of are exhausted from Gravity because it did get leaked way ahead of the time. Way ahead of time. Like people have been listening to Gravity for like 2-3 weeks before the show even came back. Before season 2 started. So there's a lot of I think pretty much anyone who has songs above Gravity, there's like a recency bias thing going on with it. Uh, but that feels like the most complete song. Like a lot of the problem with a lot of show tunes and a lot of songs like this is that they're super short. They're like 2 minutes tops. Even Gravity is like 2.5 minutes, but it feels more like a complete song. Whereas Vox Die, Vox Populi, Live to Live, they feel like parts of a song. But going back to how the premise doesn't make any sense. Extermination makes no sense. It makes no sense that heaven would see hell as this credible threat. Again, maybe there's something that we just don't know yet. They could easily explain that away at some point. Uh, but the whole like thousands died, like it's just so small. Like the Earth is the size of like Alaska in this universe, I guess. There's just so few people. Uh, but one of the things, and people are always going to have complaints about this interpretation of hell just because there is so much freedom in it. Like it doesn't ever really come off as eternal damnation. Uh, and part of that's because like I have a problem with Lucifer not being able to harm sinners. Like I have no problem with him not being able to smite sinners. Like yes, he should be stuck there dealing with the worst of humanity for all eternity without being able to like get rid of them. That's fine. I like that little twist on the premise. But like where's the punishment really? Like the punishment for being in hell is dealing with the other sinners. But if you're one of the more powerful sinners, then it's just a cakewalk. Like Alistair is totally cool with his lot in life. Same thing with a lot of the other overlords. They're just like chilling and living their lives, doing whatever they want, and it's not there's no punishment for them. And that makes no sense because the overlords are the worst of the worst of humanity, and then you got people like Angel and Nifty who are still sinners, still scumbags in their own right, but like they don't deserve to be as victimized by the structure of hell as they are, especially in comparison to like Valentino or the Velvet, Vox. You know, the Vox and Alistair are literally serial killers, and Angel is a guy who was like a drug addict who killed his father. Like it's not fair. Uh, but what I do like about it is that hell is the absence of God's grace. Like that's biblical. The reason why hell is forever is because the people who are already in hell have no reason to change their ways. They believe that hell is forever, so why even bother? Like, why even bother trying to be better? Why even bother trying to turn a new leaf? It's too late. Might as well just live the most wretched, debaucherous life imaginable. All good comes from God, and without God, there can be no good, and that's why, like, the premise is kind of the premise is allowed to work at least on a very superficial level. Like I don't have problems with that aspect of it. Uh, I just have a problem with people like Valentino and Vox and Alistair uh, effectively getting away with murder and mass murder and just like having zero consequences for like, oh, the place that they're stuck in is already kind of like run down compared to heaven. But like, would they even enjoy heaven? Would they even care to be in that version of heaven? Like there's no impetus for redemption. And you would have thought that the impetus for redemption was the extermination, but the extermination has only been going on for 7 years, which is actually an adequate explanation for why no sinner has been redeemed. Because again, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The Bible says that itself. Um, so without that fear of like eternal death, uh, the sinners have no reason to even give a shit. Uh, the show has a lot of tonal issues. Before I get into that, I want to catch up on the chat. Telefan59 says TLDR, no. But because the title is like, is Hazbin Hotel worth redemption? We'll keep wrestling with that concept as we get more into more and more details. Hell is Portland. Yeah, Hell is basically the size of Portland, or at least Pentagram City is the size of Portland. It's so absurdly small. It makes no sense, and it really takes me out of it because like I can't really care for the scale or the stakes when it is so not what it should be. Uh, Pink Rosa says, "What's the thing behind you?" That's the Straw Hat Pirate flag. Yeah, that's the Straw Hat Pirate flag from One Piece. Uh, G Man 93 said Gravity and Brighter slap. I do like Brighter as well. Uh, Vox just has a shit ton of songs in season 2, and he crushes each and every one of them. He is such a good. I think the actor's name is Christian Borland. Like he crushes each and every single one of them. This is really his season. Like he is the standout in this whole season. And also just a pretty interesting character, pretty interesting villain because of how like he brings up so many excellent points about the whole like extermination thing and the subjugation of hell and empowering sinners, and he weaponizes Lilith's name, but then he is also so full of shit. Uh because he does not give a shit about any of the people in hell. He is just using them to get his way into to fight his way into heaven, and he has no plan really. He's got the laser that can shoot the gates off of heaven, but like he has no actual plan to get up there. Like he just hopes that heaven doesn't call his bluff and just bows to his demands without putting up a fight. Like he's kind of always destined to lose, but it's like, where does he lose? Does he lose getting the overlords on his side? Does he lose in trying to break Charlie? Does he lose in trying to bust down the gates? Does he lose at the expense of all of hell's sinners? Like, when is he going to lose? It's a matter of when, not if. Uh, Cat Triple X. Welcome to the stream. The game G-Man 93 said Pinchas barely did anything to get into hell. So I don't know if this is their intent or if they're going to actually do something with this. This is something that I like because, biblically speaking, which this show does not follow the Bible canon, obviously, like it's completely its own thing, but there is a difference between godly guilt and worldly guilt, and that seems to be what makes or breaks someone getting into heaven, is like the self-sacrifice and the willingness to actually like change and be better versus trying to just bottle up that guilt. Like Sir Pinchas Pendleton, when he was alive, he sinned. He let Jack the Ripper get away with murdering several people, but instead of like trying to use that guilt and use that fear to be a better person, he just took it with him to the grave. He just bottled it up until he became a snake man in hell. Uh, and I do think that the show kind of suffers from not addressing more of the people's sins, and uh, I'll get into that when I get into Charlie, which is actually my next point. After the tonal issues, so the tonal issues are a major problem. I am someone who typically does not get bothered by tonal issues, but there does come a point where like you kind of have to wonder how much of this is supposed to just be a joke and how much of this is supposed to be serious. And I think someone said in the chat, like a cough cough angel dust to tonal issues. Yeah, like angel dust is a major victim of that writing flaw because he isn't like a super bad guy. Like he is someone who he's an addict. He's a sex addict. He's a drug addict. And apparently the main sin that actually landed him in hell was the murder of his father. And we don't know like what kind of guilty he feels over that. Whether he's bottling that up the way that Pendleton did, or if he's trying to like turn a new leaf. We don't know how genuine he is. We know that he digs Charlie and digs the other people at the hotel. They are his friends. But like, is that going to help him get into heaven? I don't think so. Like, I think, especially when they dropped like, oh, he's a murderer. Like he murdered his dad. That's what actually got him in hell. That was the deal breaker for him. We are going to have to like address that and address, what it means to sin, like what is and isn't a sin, because it's very clearly not the Ten Commandments. Uh, yeah. Guess it did that snake man go to heaven? Sorry, I can spell good. Yeah, at the end of season 1, Sir Pinchas went to heaven. Like he made a sacrifice play against Adam, got vaporized, and then bada bing, bada boom. Now he's a redeemed soul in heaven. Uh, so I have a theory about Charlie. And she is the daughter of pride, and she is someone who is one of the highest powers in hell, allegedly. Uh, we see in season one, when she meets Valentino, that Valentino's kind of scared of her. Like, he puts on this front. It's like, no, no, it's okay. Do whatever you want. And knowing full well that he's just going to take it out on Angel as soon as she's not looking. But that to me says that, like, Valentino Loki is scared of Charlie. And there's a lot of hints that Charlie is way more powerful than any of these overlords. She just doesn't ever use it because she doesn't like fighting. She doesn't know how to fight. She doesn't really know how to weaponize her powers like that. But there's a lot of indication that, like, she's kind of in a league of her own. Like, she has the power to, like, rival, if not surpass, Lucifer himself. And unlike Lucifer, she can fight sinners. uh, so every time she's with Vox or Val, especially, they're kind of like tiptoeing. They're trying to, like, play mind games and manipulate her and make her cry. Break her spirit. They're not trying to, like, fight her fair and square. They never try to do that with her. Even in, like, the finale and stuff. Now, granted, part of that in the finale was Vox's deal with Alistair. Don't lay your hands on Charlie. Yada yada yada. But because Charlie is this, like, good person, this, like, wholesome being who wants to see the best in people, even the sinners, and wants to be good and do good, is she trying to do the redemption thing out of the kindness of her own heart, or is it because she's stuck in hell and didn't deserve it? Like, she's in hell because of her bloodline. She was born there. She didn't do anything to deserve to be there. The way that, like, Lucifer did something to deserve to be there. Lilith did something to deserve to be there. All the sinners did something to deserve to be there. We don't see a whole lot of Hellborn in a Hazbin Hotel, especially not, again, I haven't actually seen Hell of a Boss. I just know the main characters are all Hellborn. They're imps, and they're all scumbags in their own right. Uh, but I've kind of always wondered, like, how much of this is her trying to, like, prove that she deserves to be in heaven. Sorry, I gotta do something. Sorry about that. So, I also want to talk a bit about Lucifer because I kind of dig their interpretation of Lucifer. Like, it's obviously not super conducive to the devil from the Bible, but then again, Lucifer might not have even been the devil. Um, it's a little complicated because there's a couple different words for a couple different beings that exist throughout the Bible that all kind of got mothballed together. The only mention of Lucifer is in this, like, anecdotal story about a king who tried to surpass heaven. And it doesn't really give a time period. There's theories that, like, maybe he was the king of Babel, that Lucifer might have been a human king that tried to surpass God by building the Tower of Babel. And then there's, of course, the theories that Lucifer and the Satan are one and the same, but there's actually not any evidence to suggest that Satan is a single person. Like, Satan could very well be a classification of people, of beings. We see in the book of Job that Satan is allowed to be in heaven. That Satan just, like, goes there like it's his 9 to 5. Like, Satan is a member of God's court, in at least in the book of Job. Uh, there's kind of, like, inherent confirmation in the book of Matthew that the serpent of Eden is the same as the devil who tempts Jesus, and the words, because the Bible's written in a couple different languages, and a lot of times the stuff that's written in Hebrew, the word gets translated to Satan, and the stuff that's written like Aramaic, it ends up getting translated to the devil. And whether or not they're one and the same, they do fulfill a similar role, but the word itself is the adversary. Satan is the Hebrew word for adversary. Devil comes from diablos, which is a Latin word for adversary. Cat X. We're talking about Lucifer and Hazbin Hotel, and I'm relating this to the actual Bible, where his identity is actually a little way more vague than a lot of people realize. Like a lot of the things people think of when they think of hell or think of the devil or Lucifer or what have you, they do not come from the Bible. They come from things that were written way afterwards. Like the whole origin story of Lucifer being like this little rebel rouser angel who fought against heaven and lost, was cast down and punished by ruling over hell, where he has to deal with sinners. That was not a thing until Paradise Lost, which was written in like the 16th century. 1600 years after the life of Jesus. Uh, the whole idea of Satan and Lucifer being one and the same, that also comes from biblical scholars a thousand years after the Bible was finished being written. Like a lot of that stuff comes from like church tradition, not what is actually in the biblical text. Same thing with like the entire idea of there being seven deadly sins and nine circles of hell or whatever. That comes exclusively from Dante's Inferno, Dante Alighieri's poetry, the Divine Comedy, the first third being called the Inferno, and that's the most famous third. But like the only description we see of hell in the Bible is that like it's fiery. That's all we get from it. And then in the New Testament, the word Hades is also used a couple times, but not ever really in relation to hell. Because in Greek, Hades is an umbrella term. Hades can refer to the afterlife as a whole. So heaven and hell and everything in between is Hades. It can refer to the god of death, Hades, the person, the being, the god. Or it can refer to anything that is underground. So when the Bible says that Jesus was in Hades for 3 days, it's talking about just being in the tomb. Like he didn't go to hell or go to heaven and unlock the gates or anything. Like he just sat in the tomb for 3 days, and the word for that is Hades. Still, because the Greek language does not have a specific term to distinguish those people and places, to distinguish those concepts. Uh, G-Man 930 said, at first I thought it was a distraction from her daddy issues, then it's to make her mother come back. As far as Charlie's reasoning for the Hazbin Hotel, it's both. It's a little bit of both. Like it's just kind of a pet project that she's using to occupy her time, and it is also like her trying to make her mother proud of her. Uh, should probably mention Lilith because Lilith is also not in the Bible. Lilith is an import goddess or import deity, import being. She actually comes from I believe it was the Babylonian archetypical mother of monsters, who then got like co-opted into Jewish traditions much later on, and then retrofitted into Christian traditions, despite not being canonical. Like she is not a canonical character in any legitimate Christian text or any legitimate Jewish text. She is basically a fan fiction character. A fan fiction character who has been part of the I hate to fucking use this word, the Bible fandom for 3,000 years. But it's true. And like it because Lilith has been associated with the Garden of Eden with Lucifer for about 3,000 years. Like that's how far back fan fiction goes. Like when you really think about it. Uh, by the way, a lot of the descriptions we have of angels come from the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch is also biblical fan fiction that was written like 3,000 years ago. The joke that I liked in the show was that Lucifer kept forgetting everybody's name. Okay, that's part of the thing I like about this. They do use the word Lucifer, but they don't characterize him like the morning star in the Bible. They do, however, characterize him like the Satan, specifically the Old Testament Book of Job version of Satan. where he is kind of a prosecutor. Uh, and they also obviously crib a lot from Paradise Lost with him giving free will to mankind. That's from Paradise Lost. The whole like love affair with Lilith, that's a later import within like Judeo-Christian mythology. Um, but this goes back to what I was saying about like the difference between worldly guilt and godly guilt. Satan, Lucifer in Hazbin Hotel regrets what he did, but not because it was the wrong thing to do. He regrets it because the punishment is him having to deal with these people. And him purposely not remembering any of these people's names, that is a coping mechanism. He does not care. Like, he hates these sinners. He doesn't want to have to deal with them, but he has to. That's his punishment. He considers it a punishment. That's why he's so neglectful of his duties and why he passes things on to Charlie. And again, I don't know shit about the lore, but like apparently there's other sins that are all based on like biblical people like Beelzebub and Leviathan, uh, and other beings of like Judeo-Christian mythology, like Mammon. Apparently is one of them, and Satan is also one of them. Like Satan is a separate entity from Lucifer, which is weird because I've seen his design and he is much more like the devil in design, whereas Lucifer looks like what I could see Lucifer looking the way Lucifer does in Hazbin Hotel, based on his descriptions in the Bible and other material. But like, I imagine Satan looking more angelic, whereas the devil is more demonic looking. Like again, it's little hodgepodge, little the characterization of Satan, devil, Lucifer, Morningstar, the serpent is a little all over the place because there's not anything within the biblical text to actually connect those beings into one specific person. But again, like he just kind of like sulks and deals with it and hates it and regrets it and is salty about it rather than actually like learning from his mistakes and doing better and being a better person. Uh, but I mentioned the designs for the most part. I like the designs. I like how they do get a little busy. Even like background characters will have these super elaborate designs, but that fits the lore. What fucking counts for lore in this goddamn show? Uh, where like every sinner is reborn as a demon, and their design represents like the life they lived, the sin that caused them to fall, and their death. So like Alistair, he was a radio host, so he has like the radio powers and the radio staff and the radio voice. But he was shot in the head because he was mistaken for a deer, which is why he gets like the deer antlers. It looks like a nightmare like were deer when he's in his full demon form. He was also a cannibal, which sharp teeth, and he's got some resemblance to the people of Cannibal Town. The Vox cult leader, TV personality who died because a TV got dropped on his head. Like, there's a lot of little details with that are really neat. Uh, to the point where like it kind of pisses me off sometimes because you see little details and you try to read into them, but then it's like, oh, we just thought it looked cool. It's like, come on, man, just do better. Come up with a better excuse. Uh, but some of the designs piss me off. Specifically some of the heaven ones. Uh, specifically, the one that pisses me off the most is Saint Peter. They brought Peter into the show as the gatekeeper of heaven because that's kind of his role within Catholic mythology. Uh, the extra biblical sources that come straight from the Catholic Church, like, oh yeah, the Peter, he's the gatekeeper of heaven. He watches the gate. He's the one who welcomes you in whenever you pass God's judgment and earn your way into heaven. Uh, they made him look like a typical white guy. I don't like that. I think it's cultural vandalism. I think all that kind of stuff is cultural vandalism. Sorry, got to blow my nose again. I still have this image on my OBS because of last week when I was talking about the Vox die stuff. All right, carrying on, moving onward. Uh, but speaking of Peter, the absence of Christ and the absence of God will forever plague this show because it really muddles the idea of like redemption. Because the Bible is very clear on like what it means to be redeemed, how to go about doing it, yada yada yada. And this show cribs so much from Judeo-Christian mythology and from Judeo-Christian beliefs, but then they leave out the two biggest parts of that. It's like trying to make a show about Greek mythology without Zeus. And I know the reason why is because God and Jesus are very important to a lot of people who really exist. And they don't want to like make a statement. Because as soon as you bring like capital G God into your show, that is going to inherently become a mouthpiece for whatever bullshit you believe in. So I like the compromise with the voice of God. I like the compromise that they had there. The speaker of God. I like that the speaker of God is not surprised about Serpentius. Like doesn't even question. It's like, oh yeah, that is the truth. Uh, Makes me wonder if like part of the lore of Hazbin Hotel is that this was always part of like God's plan. I don't know if they're gonna ever go in that direction, but I would not be surprised if they do. If they were like, yeah, the whole reason why the exterminations happened is because uh, God, Lilith, Adam, and all these other like kind of higher ups got together and were like, this is how we do it. This is how we move things forward from here. Like this is the ultimate end game of bringing salvation to all, is to keep giving sinners these other chances to turn around. And if they don't, then they just perma-die, I guess. Again, the world building in the show is by far its weakest part. I want to talk about Vox and the V's for a bit. I think they're great antagonists. I mentioned that before. And I mentioned a lot of the reasons why already. G-Man93 said it, and Loot is a basic white girl. So Loot is like a heaven-born angel as far as I'm concerned. Like as far as I know, neither Lute nor Vaggie nor like Sarah or Emily were ever human. Like they were always angels. Like Adam and Abel, they were humans who became angels, whereas like Lute, Vaggie, Sarah, Emily, a lot of the other like angels we see, the Speaker of God is obviously another one. They were literally born that way, which means they didn't. Which I think actually gives Lute a better excuse to act the way she does than Adam does. Like Adam kind of pisses me off because he's the first human to get into heaven, but like as far as we know, he didn't do anything to earn it. Like he was just kind of a dickhead. Uh, like even when Charlie asked him, like, "What did you do to get into heaven?" He is completely stumped, which the real Adam would not be stumped. Like the real Adam in the Bible would actually like take responsibility, to be like, "Yeah, I fucked up, and then turned my life around, and got back right with God, and did what He told me to from then on." Uh, but someone like Luke, who was never human, it makes more sense why she would be so like homicidally insane, because she was never a human. She was never really given the choice. Uh, she was always like she was born into a life of luxury, effectively by being heaven born. Uh, and I think it would be really neat if Luke gets gotten and then winds up in hell, or if Vaggie dies and then also winds up in heaven because like she never like fully sinned or committed an unforgivable sin. Not that there is a such thing as an unforgivable sin. If you are redeemed by Christ, all things are possible. That is at least how the Bible goes. This is very much more like Hazbin Hotel is much more messy with that. But back to Vox and the V's. Uh, I like their designs. I like their personality. Their singing voices are all great, and I like how complicated Vox's relationship is with himself and with specifically Alistair. Uh, like Alistair projects his insecurities on Vox, and Vox doesn't even realize it. Because Vox's main issue is that, as Alistair says, like in the oh god, when I think about the future, the Vox Alistair part of when I think about the future, when Vox says like when I get up there, and Alistair cuts him out like you will fuck it up. You're broken from the start. No victory will be enough. Like that's Vox's problem. Like Vox wasn't content just being an overlord or being like a friend or acquaintance of Alistair. He wanted to like make it more. He wanted it to be more official. You know, he wanted a more solid, like clearly defined partnership that everyone could associate together, like he has with Val and Velvet throughout the series. But then that's not enough. You know, it's not just being It's not enough just being like one of the more powerful overlords in hell. He has to take Alistair down a peg. He has to like keep doing all these things to try to like shut Alistair down and beat him up, and he can't do it on his own. So he has to keep like using these people, but like he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't actually like give a shit about Velvet or Valentino. He's just using them to prop himself up. And as he gets closer and closer to his goal, he becomes more and more of a dick to them. And even says like in one of the songs where like as soon as he achieves godhood, he's just gonna cut them all loose and he won't need them anymore. But like it's not even enough doing that. He can't just do it all on his own. He can't just be the strongest sinner in hell. He has to like then set his sights on to heaven. And even if he were to succeed, which he has no chance of doing, like I said before, he has no chance of succeeding against heaven. That's not going to be enough either. He's just so broken. Just like it in the song Brighter, where like he couldn't be content just being a weatherman. He had to be the news anchor. Then he had to be the entertainer. He had to be the god of entertainment. Then he had to like create the cult, the movement to that we're going to like ascend into heaven, Jonestown style. But then that landed him in hell. But then that he just couldn't ever be satisfied, and Alistair calls him out on that. But Alistair's the same way. Alistair would not be the top sinner in hell if not for Rosie. And he hates it. He is so uncomfortable and so frustrated with this whole situation, with his whole, like, having his soul owned by anybody, that he's playing, like, 4D chess against Charlie, Rosie, Vox, and himself in order to, like, get in a position where, like, he's the one in charge. uh, which is why he feeds into Vox's insecurities. Like you're nothing without the other two. He'd be powerless without the other V's. And it's because like deep down, Alistair recognizes that Vox is his best chance of getting out of his deal with Rosie. Vox is the only overlord he's run into who actually has like the potential to one day take his title as strongest sinner, which would then make the agreement with Rosie null and void, which would then break that chain he was holding. We actually see that play out in the final episode. It's also why like he got close with Charlie, because Charlie is a higher authority than any of the overlords. Like Vox can claim to be the strongest overlord all he wants. It's not official until someone of Charlie's rank or above acknowledges him as such. Even if he's not technically the most powerful sinner in all of hell, if Charlie thinks he is, he will be by kind of default. I have two other points I want to make. I want to make a quick point about loot. Uh, Loot should become a more focused, smaller scale threat. Uh, A lot of people have problems with her in the finale, how she kind of like just backed off because of Abel growing a pair and telling her to fall back. I get the impression that Abel is just way more powerful than Lute. Like, not just outranks her, but is, if he actually like wanted to, he could mop the floor with her. And Luke kind of knows that, which is why she tries to like bully him psychologically into like getting her way. But as soon as he grows a pair and like steps up to her, is like, there's nothing she can do. There's nothing she can do. She has to fall back or risk becoming a fallen angel herself. Because if Sarah finds out that she tried to pull rank on Abel, she can't. She can't. Like, even if she bullied Abel into letting her do whatever she wanted, uh, if Sarah disapproves, then Sarah could easily have her wings clipped and have her cast down into hell as well. Like, Sarah has that authority, so Lute has to be a lot more careful. She's gonna have to be a lot more sneaky to get what she actually wants, which is to kill Vaggie in order to make Charlie suffer. The last point I wanted to make right now is Charlie's an idiot. So much of the plot of season two, especially, happens because Charlie just plays right into Vox's hands. Like, Vox is a manipulator. He is a spin master. He owns the media. He's able to sell whatever narrative he wants, regardless of what Charlie says. But then Charlie just keeps giving him ammunition, keeps giving him opportunities to keep screwing her over, and she doesn't learn her lesson. She doesn't become a better person throughout the series, or at least throughout the season. She just keeps sucking, and Vox ends up like nearly succeeding in at least the second stage of his plan because Charlie just keeps letting him get away with it. Like, he didn't even really need the spy. The only benefit from that he had from Angel being a spy is that he found out that Lucifer wasn't going to be able to smite him. G-Man 93 says, Speed Run to Redemption is the only song that pissed me off because of the context of Charlie. Yes. Uh, this is another kind of inherent problem, and this is part of the issue with not acknowledging Jesus or God in your series about heaven and hell. Charlie has no fucking idea what redemption even means. She just thinks the word is nice. She thinks that if you're just good, if you just like kick all the drug habits and the sex habits and stop cursing as much and stop being as much of a debaucherous idiot, that you'll just like magically poof your way into heaven. But like, that's not how it works. Like, you can encourage people to turn a better leaf and make hell a better place to live, which would kind of defeat the whole purpose of hell. That's another problem with the premise. The whole world building aspect of the show kind of sucks. But like, it's something. Charlie has no reason to believe that redemption is actually is technically possible with these sinners, because even if they turn a new leaf and become a better person, there's nothing that is going to magically trigger them into heaven. She knows that there is now through Pinch's self-sacrifice, but like, that's a gamble. Like, Sir Pinchas did not know he was going to come out of that life. He expected to like die the eternal death. He just kind of fucking lucked into redemption by being a not super terrible person to begin with. Like, Pinchas was already like within Catholic belief, within like the Divine Comedy. Realistically, Sir Pinchas would have never even been in hell. He would have been in purgatory. Same thing with a lot of the kind of like good character. Angel, I think, would also have been in purgatory. Purgatory doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the Bible, so I'm 100% okay with it not existing here. But like, purgatory is supposed to be the middle ground where, like, oh, if you were a good person who just didn't accept Christ into your heart, or if you did accept Christ, or try to turn a new leaf, or try to redeem yourself, but didn't really do enough to earn it, or didn't live long enough to earn it, or were still like held down by that guilt, then you go to purgatory where you climb the mountain to cleanse your soul and so that you can get into heaven. That's kind of like the purpose of purgatory. Just like a one step below purgatory is limbo. Limbo is the outermost circle of hell. It's the best circle of hell because the only sin there is just not being Christian, where all the non Christians go, all the good non Christians go when they die. Again, according to the Divine Comedy, that is nowhere to be found in the Bible. Uh, but then she tries to like bullface her way into getting Angel redeemed on camera, all to like prove a point to Vox, who isn't going to give a shit. And a lot of people kind of complain about why didn't they mention Sir Pinchas more? Why didn't the Angels bring Sir Pinchas with them when they tried to crash Vox's party? Um, I think that is a problem. That is a storytelling problem because it would be so much more impactful and sell the idea of hell being forever and Vox's movement being legitimate if Sir Pinchas came with them and then nobody gave a shit. He's like, oh, why should we change? Why should like it's all nice and it's all cool and nice that Charlie was right and redemption is possible. We don't care. We don't want to change. We want to make heaven suffer for what they did. Like, I think that would be a much more compelling thing, and it would make the nuances of heaven and hell and the way it's portrayed here a lot more interesting. I've been kind of ragging on the show, so I'm just gonna speed run through some positives. Each and every one of the songs is good. The songs are a massive part of the experience, and they're all very well done. I like the little bits of characterization we get in there. Like there's so many songs with Vox where he's like it all goes back to like Stayed Gone. Or like there's been a certain husband who has been seen cavorting around town. The radio demon is back in town. Did anybody miss him? Did anybody care? Like, apparently you cared a lot, Fox. You're making a whole goddamn musical number off of him just showing back up on your radar. Uh, and the whole like in the "Don't You Forget" reprise, where like oh, you think it's cute that I care? Like you do, you very clearly do. Uh, you think your little mockery is gonna make me cry? Vox literally cries at the end when he's like, "Fuck heaven, fuck hell, fuck all of you. I don't care what happens so long as I wipe that smile off Alistair's face." And you see like the little teardrop, like Vox cares a lot about what Alistair thinks, and Alistair fucking manipulates him all season. Like he spends most of the season like on the chair just playing Vox like a fiddle because Vox keeps letting him. In the same way that Charlie keeps letting Vox get in her head and under her skin, and keeps letting Vox spin the narrative. Alistair's like, oh well, sure you're the face, but that's all. The Valentino and Velvet, they've made much more impressive contributions to your little shindig here. Uh, do you really wanna go looking like you're just a part of a 3-man set? Come on! And he keeps attacking that you're powerless without the other V's. You'd be nothing without your partners. Uh, there's so many great little moments in each song. Like I could probably like if I had listened to the songs uh listed out, I could probably like pick out several of my favorite lines. Like one of the bits that's been rent free in my head is in the "Don't You Forget" reprise when Alistair cuts him off and is like, "Don't you forget, you ain't won yet." Alistair's entire bit in at the end of "Stay Gone," which is in season one, the "Let's begin. I'm gonna make you wish that I'd stayed gone." G-Man said, I like how Val and Velv didn't ditch Vox at the end. Yeah, because, like, especially with Velvet's reaction in the musical number, it really indicates that like this is the first time he's been a dick to them. Like they know that this is just how he gets when he gets lets power go to his head. And the whole reason why like Vox does actually have a point when he asks Alistair to be his partner. And again, it's part of like Alistair projecting his own insecurities onto Vox, where like you can't really get ahead in hell as a sinner without friends or without partners. At least you gotta be able to wheel and deal. You gotta be able to make these alliances and stuff. Like the V's are basically unstoppable because there's three of them. And Vox has this like anytime Vox tries to do something on his own, he fucking short circuits. Like in Stayed Gone, where like I looks to me like you've lost your signal. Uh, like oh no, the TV's buffering. Like Vox just has a tendency to short circuit when he's super stressed or being pressed, and that's why he has to delegate a lot of business to the other V's to help like shoulder that burden and take on that load because he can't do everything on his own. He's not powerful enough, and neither is Alistair. That's why Alistair has one, if not two, former warlords on his speed dial. Anytime Alistair is taking on a massive project, he has to get Husk and Nifty involved because he can't run everything on his own. Now, like, of course, his relationship with them is much more like master servant, like he owns their souls, because Alistair's a bigger dick than Vox. Like, Vox doesn't own Velvet or Valentino's soul. They are effectively equal partners, even though Vox is way more powerful than either of them. Sorry, I just. Ronnie knows it's that time of year. I don't want you to see me like I have to do to deal with this polyp. What are some other great highlights? The whole entirety like "Love in a Bottle." It's not my favorite song, but it's like, Keith David's such a good singer. Um, I don't like "Easy." That's probably my least favorite song in the whole shebang. And it's more like it goes back to like, oh come on, girls, like you're being dumb about this. Like anyone who finds love in hell. Uh, because like you guys aren't neither of you actually earned your way into hell. Uh, one of you was born here, and the other is just a fallen angel. Like neither one of you actually had to deal with the bullshit of being a sinner in hell. Uh, let's see. The visuals always match the songs; they're always really good. Um, not super big in a losing streak. Angel's voice actor is an excellent singer, but it's just basic show tune stuff. They got the guy from Fallout Boy to voice Abel. That's pretty neat. Do I have any other comments? So like, as much as I've ragged on the show, like so much of its presentation is so good. Like the animation is really good. The voice acting is par excellence all across the board. The music is, unequivocally good. And a lot of the character arcs are also decent. It's very economic. Like I know a lot of people complain about like the lack of interaction with some of the main cast, like the fact that Angel and Charlie haven't interacted since episode 3. But like, there's a lot of characters and not a whole lot of time. You gotta speed run through that stuff, especially when you're also putting in 2 to 3 songs per episode. You gotta be a lot more economic with those dynamics. You have to like do something like in episode 6 when Vox is trying to like convince Valentino to like let him borrow Angel for the night, and he's basically pleading with Valentino, trying to like bribe him with sex or whatever. Uh, and then Velvet, spins around in the chairs like, oh, funny that you seem to make time for us when you actually need something. And Vox like tries to backpedal like, oh, Velvet, I was actually just getting ready to call you up and fill you in on the next stage of my master plan. No, I was just asking Valentino if I could borrow in, and like, and then Alistair spins around like, it looked more like you were banging to me. Like the fact that Alistair is there and that Velvet's the one who spins him around means that they were actually talking. Like they were actually like hanging out in the room there before Vox showed up. Uh, like that is kind of all you really need to show that like Alistair's working his way in. Like he's getting on good terms with Valentino and Velvet and stroking their egos in order to uh further his goal of like getting Vox up on his high horse in order to break all the deals that are holding Alistair down. Yeah, I'm from fucking Florida. Such a funny line. The show's funny. That's another thing. Like this is a legitimately funny show, and so it's able to get away with a lot more bullshit because it's able to pepper in the jokes. Even if the jokes do again cause those same aforementioned tonal issues sometimes. One of my favorite bits is with Nifty and Baxter. I think it's episode 6 or 7. uh, when Vaggie comes back and the whole hotel is a mess, and she's like, "Nifty, I left you in charge. What are you doing?" Like, she opens up the suitcase and like, I had Baxter fix them. They have lungs and fingers now, and they're like the whole bug joy jazz band, and Vaggie's kind of like, hey, you know what? This is actually kind of impressive. I like it. Like that's one of my favorite jokes in the show. Um, Again, like season 2, I think is a marked improvement over season 1. A lot of it has to do with Fox and the V's just being more interesting as villains, whereas Adam's just like a dick for dickhead's sake, trying to villainize Heaven, which is bullshit. Because like Adam has a point. The sinners in hell are horrible people. Like there's a reason why hell is hell. Like every single one of them earned their way there, and uh, like Alistair says in the pilot, like the redemption, that's wacky nonsense. The chance they had was the life they lived. The punishment is this. There's no undoing what has been done. But I think that's actually all I have. Uh, I would give like Hazbin Hotel season 1 like a 7 out of 6 or 7 out of 10. It was fine. Hazbin Hotel season 2, I gotta give like a 7 or 8. Like it's really solid actually. Despite all the problems, all every single one of its problems all stems from the half-ass fucked up world building that makes no sense. Like every single one of the complaints I have is in some way connected to the lack of adequate world building and the like fear of using capital G God in your show. But I'm looking forward to season 2 or season 3. Season 3 and 4 are both greenlit. They're working on them together. Uh, and apparently, season 3 is going to get a lot more involved with the Morningstar family and Lilith. She's going to make her debut, or not her debut, but she's going to actually like play a role. Fucking hate that uh, as a cliffhanger. By the way, it's so uh fucking blue balling. But yeah, that's gonna do it for tonight. I already know what the main topic next week is going to be because One Piece. Uh, I saw the previews for this next upcoming episode, and it's one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. But have to change my wallpaper on my computer. So we'll be talking a lot about One Piece next week, and then we'll be getting close to Christmas at that time. I want to do like a Christmas special. What day is Christmas on? So like on the 23rd. So like second is gonna be One Piece. The 9th and 16th to find something. The 23rd I want to do like a Christmas special. So yeah, I got other things to do. I got other things to watch and catch up on. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining me for this late night stream. You all have a great day.